Okay, welcome to Accelerated Math. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions. Alright. It looks complicated, it looks like a different language when you first start, but it's really not too bad. Here's what they're asking for. Find f plus g of x. Another way that you might see this written is f of x plus g of x. Alright, and that's just saying to add those two functions. Let's take a look at the functions. Well, here's f of x over here. It's saying it's this. G of x is saying it's this. So all we're going to do is add those together. So I'm going to start with f of x because that was first. 36 minus x squared plus g of x, which is 6 minus x. Sometimes you'll see them in parentheses like this. But when it's addition, all you're going to do is drop the parentheses because it works that way. It's the associative property of addition says that you can just drop those parentheses. You can reassociate things when it's addition. So it's 36 minus x squared plus 6 minus x, and then we're just going to combine like terms, just like you've been doing since 8th grade, I believe. Here's a negative x squared. Negative x squared, put that out front because it has the highest order exponent. The next exponent level is negative x. That's kind of like to the first, but we usually don't put the first. And then we've got 36 and positive 6 for a total of 42. That's our answer. Okay? And let's see, let's take a look at the next one. Alright, the next one is f minus g of x. F minus g of x, or you might see it written f of x minus g of x. Let's take a look. 36 minus x squared. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Minus, this is g of x, 6 minus x. The trick here is that there is no associative property for subtraction. You have to change it to addition before you can drop the parentheses. Now, changing the addition, or changing it to addition, if you remember back when you first learned about negative numbers like 5 minus 8, that was kind of weird for some people, so they would tell you to subtracting a positive is the same thing as adding its inverse. That's what they would say. So they would take 5 minus 8 and they would do slash slash, some teachers would say. Or you might say keep the 5, change. Alright, so either way you're changing, you're distributing this negative. So we're going to distribute this negative to both of those things. So we're going to say, let me change my color here. Change it to addition, change the sign of both things inside there. Okay, so we got 36 minus x squared. At this time it's addition, so now you can drop the parentheses. Plus negative 6 and plus x. So it changed the sign of both of those things, and now we can just combine like terms. Again, we got negative x squared, highest power exponent first, plus x, and then we've got negative 6 and positive 36. That is, adds up to positive 30, and that's our solution. Alright, so adding functions, subtracting functions. Now we're going to move on to multiplying functions. Nothing really new here, and anything we've done, because you guys knew how to combine like terms, you're going to know this one too. F times g of x. This is a multiplication symbol right here. You might also see it written as f of x times g of x. Alright, so you can see it either way. And so we're going to take f of x. Oops. Take f of x, 1 minus x squared. I'm going to put that in parentheses again. When two things are in parentheses next to each other, that means multiplication. So I'm going to put g of x in the next set of parentheses. And then what am I going to do? If you saw this problem by itself, you would what? FOIL. Alright, so first two terms multiplied, that's where the f is coming from. First, O, outer, and then inner, and then finally the last two terms. That's where the acronym FOIL is coming from. First, outer, inner, last. Some people like to do it with the generic box. I kind of like this visually. It helps. 1 minus x squared and 1 minus x. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative x squared is negative 1x squared, or just negative x squared. 1 times negative x is negative 1x, or negative x. Negative x times negative x squared. Negative times negative is a positive. This has an exponent of 1. When you multiply, you keep the base, add the exponents. Okay? If you did it with FOIL, you'd come up with the same numbers and or expressions. We got x cubed minus x squared minus x plus 1. Where did I get those? I got them all from over here. And it's just FOIL. And that's our answer. There's you can't go any further with it. These are not like terms. They all have different exponents. So you just got to leave it like that. All right, that's multiplication. Now, finally division. And let's see. Now, if we you can see, you might see it written this way. Might also see it written as f of x over g of x. All right, and so either way, we're going to put f of x on the top or the numerator, 16 minus x squared, over g of x, 4 minus x. And then we need to simplify that if we can. Some people are going to be tempted to do things like this, like, hey, 4 goes in that once and 4 times or something like that, or crossing out one of these x's. But you know what? You cannot do that. I repeat, hopefully you didn't stop the video right after I said that and start working it, because you cannot do that. And why can't you do it? Because it has addition or subtraction in it, and those terms are not completely the same. All right, and I'll show you how we're going to get them the same. Now, everybody that's watching this pretty much knows that, like, 25 over 5 reduces to 5 over 1. Well, why does it reduce to 5 over 1? Because 25 can be factored into 5 times 5, and 5 can be, well, factored to 5 times 1, and when it's multiplication like this and division, you can cancel those out, or they reduce to 1, and you're left with that 5 over 1 or 5. All right, we're going to do the same concept here. Is we're going to look and see if we can factor so that we can see if there are terms that can be reduced or eliminated. All right, and let me just get rid of this mess over here. All right, so we're going to factor to see if we can find some terms that can cancel out or reduce to 1. Well, 16 minus x squared, I looked at that for a while and I was kind of like, well, I don't know, it seems like that's a difference of squares. We're probably more used to seeing it like this, x squared minus 16. This isn't the exact same thing, but it's similar in that, and you could use the difference of squares, the square root of the first term plus and minus the square root of the second term. So that's how it factored. Now, most people are kind of familiar with that, but this throws people off a little bit. It's got the 16 in front and it's minus x squared, but it's still the difference, subtraction problem, the difference of two squares. So you still do it the same way. It's plus and minus, and it's the square root of the first term plus or minus the square root of the second term. So it does factor just like that. And then the the denominator is still 4 minus x. Now I can cancel these out because they are the same. So those can cancel out. Even though they have subtraction in them, the terms are completely the same. They cancel out, and the answer is 4 plus x. That's your answer. All right. That's it. All right. Have fun with it.